One of the most popular topics when it comes to physical preparation for the sport of boxing is probably punching power. And perhaps the biggest debate is how much of it is inherited and how much of it can be trained and learned. Very generally speaking, we have two categories. We have the naturals and we have the ones that have learned it. Certain athletes in striking sports, they have mastered the art of timing, the art of accuracy. They know when you're not prepared, they know where your chin is, and they can almost find it like a guided missile. They use feints and set up their punches very cleverly so that when it lands on your chin, your cervical muscles are completely relaxed and your brain wobbles. On top of that, they know the biomechanics of a powerful punch, they transfer the mass from their legs and whatnot, hip rotation. These are the category of punchers that have learned the art. A perfect example is Canelo Alvarez. Yes, obviously he's very powerful and twitchy, but we don't associate him with this freakish, natural type of power, the Artur Beterbiev style of power. And the truth of the matter is you don't need a lot of power production to score a knockout this way. If you hit an opponent when he's not prepared on the chin, on the button, it's not gonna matter really how much power production you have. Most athletes, regardless of whether they are a type 1 athlete, a type 2X athlete, slow twitch or fast twitch, they can score a knockout this way. And then we have another category, the naturals. And here I am talking about the George Foremans of the world, the Ernie Shavers of the world, the Julian Jacksons. They just have that touch of death where they can literally hit you on the guard and possibly knock you out from there. They don't even need to fully commit to the punch. We have seen them sometimes stick their hand out and knock out opponents. Take a look at this clip right here, for example, one of the scariest clips in boxing in my opinion. We have the legendary George Foreman, may he rest in peace. He's hitting the bag with pretty moderate intensity here, he's not even going all out yet and he's already leaving a dent on this boxing bag that looks pretty heavy. And this is that natural category of punching power that I'm talking about. This is unquestionably and undoubtedly ingrained into your DNA. It is genetic. And what exactly are those genetic aspects? It could be bone density, it could be special leverages of your body, it could be a higher proportion of fast twitch muscle fibers, it could be special genotypes of different genes such as the ACTN3 for example. It could be certain inherent psychological factors that make you more suited for this style of boxing, such as determination or grit or risk-taking or higher motor unit recruitment and rate coding, certain neural circuits in your brain. It could be the weight and the size of your fists and your arms in a special proportion that just makes them perfectly suited for a knockout punch. We can discuss and speculate for days on end, but due to the laws of chance and the laws of statistics, this should not be surprising that out of tens and thousands of athletes, one of them are bound to be a genetic freak. This is how the world works, this is how nature works. And this obviously begs the question, to what extent can we improve our power output via methodology? Obviously, the highest return on investment will be your timing, your boxing technique in general. This is a whole universe in and of itself. But if we assume that these are satisfactory and we focus on the physical aspects such as strength training and power training and sprinting and Olympic weightlifting, ballistic training and all of that stuff, these are mainly modalities and tools that bring your genetic predispositions forward. They allow for what is known as gene expression. In other words, they pave the way for what is already there and what is within you. So let's say you're an elite level boxer with 8 to 10 years of experience, very good fundamentals, from a lifetime of hitting the pads, boxing, doing all of these things. You have probably expressed the vast majority of your genes already. You have established yourself athletically, what type of athlete you are. Now, if on top of this we were to add a systematic strength and conditioning intervention in the form of compound lifts, ballistic training, plyometrics, Olympic lifting, periodization models targeting weaknesses, in a very general basis, take this with a pinch of salt, you could expect maybe 10 to 20% improvement in speed and explosive power production and all of these things. And obviously in the world class level this is a lot, because every percentage matters here. A 10% improvement improvement in explosive power production will be gigantic here. And this is why athletes, no matter their genetic predisposition, participate in a strength and conditioning intervention, because those percentages matter. But what does that really mean? A 10 to 20% improvement does not mean that you will become the next George Foreman. It does not mean that you will have the power of Artur Beterbiev. My point is that if you had such forms of freakish power, it would already be evident in your training long before you ever touched a barbell. So when we look at those old-timers of American boxing, they were doing long distance running, they were chopping wood, doing a bunch of random stuff, no sprinting, no Olympic weightlifting, no ballistic training, no squats and bench presses and pull-ups. Would they have been even more powerful if they did these things? Absolutely yes, they would. But they didn't have the knowledge back then, and they were simply genetic freaks. They could be doing Zumba classes, they could be doing Pilates as their strength and conditioning, and they could still be knocking people out. So people, they might be looking at these clips, you know, of these old timers, and they look at my videos and say, what is this Olympic weightlifting shit? I ain't doing no plyometrics, I gotta chop some wood in a snowstorm or run 20 kilometers because George Foreman or Muhammad Ali did it. They are confusing cause and effect. So when I'm working with strength and conditioning with my athletes, whether that is sprinting, ballistic training, or strength training, or hill sprints, whatever the case might be, I am not having punching power as a singular and isolated goal. A much better pursuit is to develop power and speed in a global emphasis in all aspects, whether it comes to footwork, whether it comes to hip rotation or head movement, general athletic attributes. We are targeting specific areas that are hard to do with boxing sessions exclusively. This is the goal of strength and conditioning.